Hi, welcome. Welcome to SAW and to talk about printing and publishing and distribution. I've been asked a lot about it. The only expertise I have is from my own experience, and I think that's true these days because publishing is such an industry in flux, and I think there are the people who know a lot have just been through a lot. But they don't really exactly know what the future is, because I think the future for a lot of industries is self-organizing and self-generating and changing, and your future may or may not look like this. Your mileage may vary, all that stuff. So I'm going to try and tell you excuse me, a little of my history and what I've learned along the way. This may be a bunch of short videos, or it may be a long video. Hopefully not too long, and I will try and keep it economical. I'll start by saying when I was 16 and I was drawing all the time, I never realized I could publish. I never realized I could print something. And I had to meet somebody. I don't have any of his comics here. They're probably somewhere. Sam Henderson is, and we were both in high school, and he was printing constantly. He had a comic called Captain Spaz. And that made me realize, like, wow, I could be doing this myself with a photocopier and down the street and stuff. And so I was very unambitious. I didn't know what was available, and this was way before the internet and everything else. So now kids in middle school and even grade school are photocopying. As soon as my daughter, who is 6, wants something printed, I'm going to take her down to the copy store and we're going to make some MiniComics or something. So it's so much easier now. And that's a good chance to say now that it's never ever been easier to print something. It's never been easier to publish something. Getting distributed and getting seen is another matter. I'm going to briefly walk you through. So when I was 18, by the time I finally realized I could print something, I got really interested and I wanted to make something, but I didn't know who I was as an artist. So I made all sorts of like random weird, and I just found these all in my archives here. Random weird little single page. I remember liking that one. Single page, 3 panels. I mean, for me, like, to make a successful 4-panel comic that said something, that was like a massive project for me, because I just wasn't that accomplished, and I didn't have that much experience. I didn't have that much confidence. So that's about art and confidence and stuff like that. When it comes to printing, I don't think I have any examples, but eventually you realize, like, you can print a mini comic. It's photocopied. You take it to the photocopier. You could run it off your own printer these days. And that's kind of a miracle for someone my age. And you could give them out. And so I did a handful of these between the ages of, say, 18 and, that's blank. I'm sorry, I'm showing you a blank piece of paper. And also, none of these have the actual, like, this. I will show you this. This was a single page of a mini comic that was like maybe 8 pages long. This was the back page of a mini comic. What I'm trying to tell you is that I was trying so hard, but my skills and confidence were so small that to make a small 8-page comic with panels that looked like that took a major effort. And it was all about me saying, I made this, take a look, please look at it. When I made this little zine, which I don't have here in its full form, here, well, here's part of it. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh my God, look, that brown is all glue and glue sticks. See, I told you this might be a bit long of a talk, but I'm gonna try and make it economical. So maybe we could run some of those off someday. But there's that one you just saw that went here. Anyway, it was called, maybe that's 12 pages. Anyway, goodness gracious. Oh, here it is. All right, so that's a great place to start. It's called Art and Offerings. That's the flat. I would have run this through the photocopier. See how the whiteout is holding up real well after 20 or 30, oh my God, 30 years. But the paper itself isn't. These were just single illustrations. And it was a big deal for me to send that off. And I sent it off to some professional professional comic artists who I got their address, or maybe I knew them through a friend or something. And all it was just me saying, hey, I'm out here, I'm making things like you're making. And I remember in particular, and again, I know this is about distributing and publishing and stuff, but some of it's about confidence, and some of it's about being seen. So I remember I sent this to Mark Martin. Mark Martin was one of the artists on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but he was also the funny one. Like, he created Hyena Magazine, which was a funny magazine in the 90s. I can't remember if this was out at that time. He had his own magazine, which was called, I can't remember. He was very, 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 very funny. And I remember he sent me back a note, postcard maybe, and he said, hey, I liked that, especially that one drawing. There was just something there. That's it. That's all he said. And it stayed with me. It stayed with me for 30 years. When you get just that little bit of like, and I don't know if it really did say something to him or meant something to him, but he knew enough at the very least to offer something back to a young cartoonist and say, hey, good job there. I like that. And whether or not he said keep going, that's what it meant to me. It meant keep going. And so, in sending things to peers, to your own network, to your friends, they will help you keep going. But also sending things to people who you're a little excited to meet, or you're nervous to have them see you. Take a gamble sometimes, and it can mean a lot. I'll make a quick jump and then maybe I'll pause the video, but when I did this book, maybe 4 years later or something like that, it got some nice feedback and it got some reviews and stuff, but I remember one was by, what's his name? Oh my God, David Collier, who works sometimes for John Quarterly. He's a Canadian artist. And we're on the beach at in San Diego at the San Diego Comic-Con. And he's reading it. He was in the military at one point. He's got this he's kind of slightly stern, funny demeanor about him. And he's reading it in the beach. I think he's got his sunglasses on. I'm sure he's got a hat on. He finishes it. He says, "This is good work, Hart." That meant so much to me. I think about it all the time. If you can put yourself in positions where you can find support and affirmation, not everybody has that as easily, I know, but try and find those little bits. Where's the affirmation going to come from? Where's the support going to come from? Go there. That's where the light is. That's where the attention is, and that's where you can grow in confidence. And that's where you can start to grow. I'm going to pause this. That seems like a fine place to stop. And then I'm going to get from MiniComics to the next section, which is self-publishing for real.